March 1st, 2023, regular school committee order, to order, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman and members of the audience tonight, a moment of silence for a few individuals. Ian Carrera, Marlene Bennett, Elvira Roberts, and Lance McFarland, recent staff members that have passed and left us. May they rest in peace. Thank you.
I don't know if this is your regular one or not. It's fine. All right. So, like to, yeah, I was going to do the silence cell phones thing. So, if you have cell phones, please silence them. And just want to make you aware that you're being taped by the Public Media Center for local cable. I call the order and roll call, please.
Ms. Chisholm.
Here.
Ms. Cormier.
Present.
Ms. Crowley.
Present.
Mr. Lipset.
Present.
Mr. Mulrennan.
Present.
Dr. Wells.
Here.
Mr. Kissel.
Here. I'd like to also ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the 2/15/23 school committee
So
meeting.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. I'd like to do public comment. I do have just a quick statement to read. If there's anyone that is going to speak, that all speakers shall have up to 3 minutes to speak. All speakers must state their name and address and the specific matter on which they intend to speak about at the start of their public statement. Public comment shall be limited to items that are within the scope of the school committee's responsibilities, such as district education goals, policies, budget, and the performance of the superintendent. Under no circumstances should individuals use public comment to complain about staff or students. All speakers are encouraged to present their remarks in a respectful manner. All remarks will be addressed to the chair of the school committee. Thank you. So, having said that, do we have anyone that would like to make a public comment? Just if you could just state your name and address.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm Kelly Hurley. My address is 21 Hallmark Drive in Woburn. Is that what?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm super nervous, and I wrote an entire book, and I'm not going to read it to you all. So I cut it in half, so it starts at a funny place. Something to address another time is about the changing demographics and how that impacts education. It impacts learning, and it impacts teaching. But I'm going to start someplace right in the middle. While I embrace the changing demographics, and I really do, and support inclusion in my classroom, it is extraordinarily challenging to meet the needs of all of my students and families. I have to modify curriculum, significantly change curriculum, provide visual support, behavior plans, reach out to parents to be sure that they understand the expectations, and differentiate to different students in very different ways throughout my day. I spend much of my time with the large, busy classroom of varying student needs, managing behaviors that, quite frankly, wouldn't be as significant with lower numbers. I teach kindergarten, if I didn't say that. Students are struggling with the increased academic demands placed on them in a very active, busy environment filled with lots of little bodies yelling my name, Mrs. Hurley, Mrs. Hurley, Mrs. Hurley, all day, wanting and needing my support. We need to recognize that with this amazingly diverse group of students, they do not all learn the same way and need a break from the classroom where they can move their bodies, make music, do art, and more. Research shows that art helps to develop critical thinking and creativity, music supports math and language development, and physical education provides a positive way to get energy out and increases social and emotional well-being as well. When a teacher is speaking up for increased specials and lower class size, it is not about making our lives easier. It is because we care deeply about making student learning richer. We care deeply about the social and emotional well-being of our students, and we want students to feel safe, supported, happy, and eager to learn each day when they come to school. I have taken a few bullets from a little article that I read on the benefits of smaller class size, and I think it's really important, and it says it well. Teachers can provide more personalized attention to students. Teachers have more flexibility to apply different instructional methods. Fewer students mean fewer distractions. Educators have more time to teach because there are fewer discipline problems to deal with. Student participation in class increases. Teachers can cover more material and enrichment activities. I've been a public school teacher for 15 years and an early childhood educator in a variety of roles and settings for another 15 years prior to that. I love my job, and everybody here knows how much I love my job, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I have to say, has become more and more challenging over the last few years. And I've seen very young, very talented teachers that are exhausted and overwhelmed and cry. And I am so worried we're going to lose them to another district or to the profession. This is the reality, and our school leaders need to be educating themselves on what is best for student learning in 2023. Right here in Woburn, considering the changing demographics and needs of our students. And while COVID shouldn't be an excuse, the lingering impact of the pandemic on students and families' emotional well-being and its direct link to student learning cannot be ignored. I hope education in this community will be prioritized when doing budgeting for the next school year. And I just want to say that my students really need movement, and physical education is an amazing brain break for them. And my phys ed teacher does an amazing job incorporating what we're doing in the classroom into movement, and it's really important to their well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee? Yes.
Hi, I'm Erica Scarborough. I live at 53 Mishawam Road, and I'm here to talk about the importance of physical education twice a week in the budget. I have 2 children at the Harold Wyman, a first grader and a third grader. I'm also a 4th grade teacher at the Reeves, and my husband teaches history at the high school. My family is extremely invested in the success of Woburn Public Schools. I believe that giving elementary students PE twice a week should be highly prioritized in this budget. When looking at surrounding towns, they all offer this to their students. Not only that, many of our surrounding towns offer students 6 special area classes a week. These include physical education, art, music, library, health, technology, and in some cases STEM. In Woburn, we only offer our students 4 such classes a week. When my students walk into my classroom in the morning, one of the first things they ask is, what special do we have today? One day each week, I give them a very exaggerated, just me. This is always followed by groans. I, of course, act all offended, but I don't blame them. Being in one classroom all day with only lunch and recess as a break is exhausting. I'm an adult and I find it exhausting. My students have paid attention to what was going on in our community. They know that physical education twice a week is something that the teachers are fighting for. I've been repeatedly asked if it will happen. I've promised my class of 9 and 10-year-olds that I will fight for this for them. Offering phys ed twice a week has the added benefit of giving our elementary teachers an additional 45 minutes to prepare lessons, correct work, contact parents, and do the many other tasks that need to be done each day. That extra time will positively impact our students. I truly hope that when looking at this budget, physical education twice a week will be prioritized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'll be quick. My name is Kelly Curran. I live at 2 Wyman Street in Woburn. I'm a teacher at the high school, and I'm also a parent of a middle schooler at the Kennedy, 6th grade at the Kennedy, and a 3rd grader at the Harold Wyman. And both Kelly and Erica were very eloquent and spoke on as elementary school teachers. And so I'm not going to repeat what they said. I agree. And as a parent, as well as an educator, but as a parent, I want to say that I hope you will consider phys ed twice a week. I know that both Member Crowley and Lipset have taken to social media to discuss the process of the budget and that how it's crafted by the principals and the administration. And I know that to be true because I've participated in it at the high school for quite some time. So in saying that, I just also want you to remember that you set policy as well. So please consider how important the specials are, and especially phys ed twice a week in the elementary. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Yep.
My name is Matthew Mickle.
Just for the mic, for the cable, so it'll pick it up.
My name is Matthew Mickle. I'm at 350 Russell Street, and I don't have things prepared like some others, but I come to you as strictly a parent. I do not work in the school system, but I'm a parent of a first grader who missed or stayed home for 2 years, the first 2 years, very critical point of getting acclimated to the school system, and then coming in to larger class sizes. I'm here to advocate for that, for the smaller class sizes, because he needs more direct attention. He needs, the better structure, the help, and the PE twice a week would also help in a child who spent 2 years in a living room trying to learn. Again, as a parent, I'm just here to express that it is important to those of us outside of the school as well.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Locke. I reside at 10 Maywood Terrace. I've been a physical education teacher for 40 years. I know that's hard to believe. And we've been pushing for physical education twice a week in Woburn, but I disagree. I think it should be 5 times a week. And I think we should pioneer that and start something in Massachusetts where we have physical education 5 times a week. That's what we should be doing. Let's strive. But I do want to do something different. I want to share a letter that was written 17 years ago by a student, a little boy, 9 years old, and out of the mouths of babes. Dear Mrs. Hatch, I think we should have gym twice a week. All the kids in my class like gym class because we play a lot of fun games. Another reason to have gym class twice a week is that kids like to run around and get their energy out because we work hard every day. Having gym would give students a break during the week before we go back to work. Though we have 2 recess breaks every day, gym is different. We play better games like kickball or capture the flag. At recess, my friends and I aren't as entertained as we are in gym. Maybe some kids who don't like school because they think it's boring will like it more because of more gym time. I hope you consider my request. From a 9-year-old boy 17 years ago, and with no disrespect whatsoever, and not to be a wise guy, this little boy's name was David Kissel. So I'll give that to our chair.
There you go.
David was a smart young guy, and he still is.
He wanted to play.
Too, like his mother.
There you go.
He didn't want to be like, he didn't want more math time. He wanted more playing time.
Did you know it was him, Chris?
I didn't until you said his name. But it sounds like him.
Before you were on the school committee.
Yeah.
17 years? Yeah,
Yeah.
just about, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee? Good. All right. Everything's seen now. Thank you, everybody. The City Council Liaison, Charles Viola, is not able to make it tonight. He had another commitment, and he did tell me earlier today. So we have our student representative to the school committee, Sophia Ferksey.
All right, so on Thursday night, March 2nd at 7 p.m., Mr. Thomas and the Fine Arts Department will be performing a short high fantasy piece called Cupner the Reluctant by Alan female at WMHS. This is a free show, however, donations are always welcome. The actual competition will be at Wayland High School on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. All school committee members are welcome to attend. The WMHS progress reports will be posted Friday, March 3rd. The 2023 MCAS ELA retests will be on March 8th and March 9th at the WMHS school. On March 8th, from 6 to 8 p.m., there is a junior parent night event hosted by Mrs. Sands and the guidance department of WMHS auditorium. All parents who are interested are welcome to attend. Woburn High School parent-teacher conferences are March 14th from 2 to 4 p.m. The MCAS mathematics retest is on March 14th and 15th at the high school. There's a big announcement on March 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. The high school will be bringing back Future Tanner's Night for all incoming 8th grade students. The event will be held in the gymnasium where incoming freshmen will be given the opportunity to preview all of the exciting opportunities they will be privy to in the fall when they enter. Some of these include fall sports, extracurricular sign-ups, and tours of the building. Opportunities to speak with some of the coordinators and department heads on course selections, as well as performance by our award-winning WMHS acapella choir will also be available. There will be talks throughout the night on mental health, social, emotional learning, as well as course selection process by Mrs. Bakari as well as Mrs. Sands. Mr. Martin will be sending out the flyers with more specific information this week. Special thanks to both Ms. Jill and as well as Mrs. Eichel for organizing a great night for our incoming students. This week, Mr. Martin will be sending out information on our educational internship opportunities for seniors during term 4. Students selected will be provided opportunities to gain valuable experiences working both at our elementary as well as our middle schools in an educational setting. Applications are due no later than March 10th. MCAS updates, ELA Session 1 will be on March 28th and Session 2 will be on March 29th. The MCAS for math is not released until early May. Some winter sports updates are both the boys varsity hockey team and the girls basketball team have made the winter MIA tournament. Boys hockey is at Reading High School on Wednesday, March 1st at 8 p.m. and girls basketball will be home March 3rd versus the winner of Waltham versus Peabody. And that's it.
Great, thank you. Do you have any questions for Sophia?
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sophia.
Good. All right, next up, we have reports and presentations of the superintendent and staff, starting with the calendar of 2022-2023.
Good luck.
I believe everyone has a copy. Mr. McLeod passed out. You voting on that?
Yeah, so just quickly, this was asked by Ms. Crowley to be on the agenda for this meeting, I think in part for discussion purposes as it relates to future planning, to meet the 180-day student requirement.
Okay. So, do you want to?
Well, I'll start. I mean,
off.
we have 5 days to make up, but we built 5 days into the calendar for snow days. But we did have a snow day recently, so that leads me to believe that the school committee needs to adjust the calendar to account for that one day. And so I think we need to do this as soon as possible, because families need to know what they have to plan for. So that was my thinking of putting on the agenda. I do have a suggestion, Mr. Chair. if I
Okay.
can Continue. Given that this is a kind of a monumental decision in terms of family planning and whatnot, maybe we should ask the administration to send out a survey, get some feedback from families as to what they would prefer in terms of adding the day. I believe that we have an extra day on the 30th.
No, I think
No, we don't, okay. So therefore, we are looking at April vacation to have school, or it seems to me like the holiday known as Good Friday is also an option. That's how I'm looking at it. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to speak.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments on the comments?
Well, excuse me,
Ms. Chisholm?
we're running pretty close to letting parents know, so I agree that, so to do a survey and to get that back, and it's going to be tough to do, and no matter what you do, people are going to be, either vacations are already planned. April school vacation is one that a lot of parents do go away, and they're going to go anyway, and I'm sure staff will already have vacation plans. So my thing would be, the easiest would be Good Friday. And that's if we have no more snow between now and then. And March has always been something that we have to gamble with. So I don't know if that's something we can do now, or do we do it the next meeting? But just put out there, it's out there, in the TV land now, that this is going to be something we're contemplating. So let people know that if that's the wish of the committee, to just put April 7th as the date that we would retract and actually have school. I don't know how that could work, but I think it's easier than April vacation, in my opinion. But that's if we have no more snow, and then we're not going to have a choice.
I'll make a motion, respectfully, Ms. Chisholm, so we can discuss this in a motion. I'll make a motion that we ask the administration to send out a parent survey, get some feedback as to how the, parents, if it's Good Friday versus April vacation, where they would like to see the day made up. And that's my motion.
Second.
I have a second? Okay.
But on the motion, I am leaning towards Good Friday because we do have a religious observation policy built into our policies that will allow for kids to not be penalized for taking that day off. It's my understanding that that's our policy. But I am leaning towards Good Friday, but I'm still standing with my original motion that we should send it out to parents and vote at our next meeting.
So that's the motion.
On the motion.
Dr. Wells?
Yeah, the only question, we send out a survey, but we don't really know what we're going to need. Like,
Right.
I think, probably the prudent thing would be to indicate that our plan now is to have school on Good Friday, and just let people know that, and then we'll see how we get through March, because we're kind of limited on what we have for options. And so I think we just have to say, look, we're going to schedule school for Good Friday. Hopefully we won't have to use it. And, by that time, hopefully we'll know where we're at.
Right, so, Ms. Cormier.
Just to clarify, so currently, according to this calendar, it says that the last day of school is the 28th. And then, was this just the only snow date, or did we have another snow day this year?
No, we're up to the 30th.
I
So
thought the
how do we
29th.
get to the 30th?
If you count the days, the days on here are incorrect.
Oh,
Yeah, because if you take the 5 days for the strike, and then you take the day for the snow, we were up to June 30th.
oh, okay. So this is wrong.
Mhm.
Is that, just because I think we messed up a calendar
Before.
years before.
Yeah.
Could we just clarify that that's definitely,
Well, but I think, Mr. Chairman, it's prudent that we consider the
Anyway.
Friday.
yeah.
And then, we'll figure out all the days, because obviously, if we don't have to use it, we won't, but we gotta have some leeway
Leeway.
here with
Yeah.
about a month of snow, month plus of snow.
So
Superintendent?
would you like, I'm just seeking clarification. Would you like me to send something out?
Well, we have a motion to do
Let's have a
that.
vote on my motion.
Yeah, let's do
we
that.
Not respectfully to Mr. Wells, Mr. Chisholm, we don't vote on it tonight until we have feedback, and then someone else can make a motion.
Okay, but on the
Okay.
motion,
Ms. Chisholm,
so if it comes back that more parents want the April vacation,
off
no, to go to school.
to go to school. Yes, yeah, it's a
So-
sorry.
But we're running close to allowing people to make the decision about Good Friday. That's my thing. I just don't want to tell people 3 days ahead that the kids are coming to school if they have plans.
know
So, I think we need, sorry, yes. If we do send out a survey, I think we need a very clear end date for that survey so that we have plenty of built-in time for people to be able to change any plans that exist or,
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second.
On the motion, just
Yeah,
to
Dr.
clarify
Wells.
the question, we're gonna, like, say if we only need one more day, because I don't understand how we're gonna phrase the question. Is it like one day or for multiple days? Because it would, if it's only one day, I think people would say, we'll take the Good Friday, but if it's 3 or 4 days, then, just how do we offer the choices? Like, what happens if, is we saying any day during the April vacation, or just so we can clarify for the superintendent, maybe if you want to sort of.
I would probably say the Friday of April vacation, because the Monday is Patriots' Day, and we would run into a problem with that.
Right.
So I would say either Good Friday, April 7th, or the last day of April vacation, which is April
21st.
21st. So then I would, my vision, and it's not perfect, and I respect everyone's opinion, but it would go out and say April 7th or April 21st, give us an answer in 3 days.
So-
That's my vision. So
With
that's
only
my
the,
motion.
with only option of one day, though, is what I'm concerned with.
Yeah.
If we only say we only need one day, up to this point, we need a day.
Right.
So
Yes.
if we do, then we could be the option of Good Friday and then days during the April vacation. I mean, it's unfortunate, but this is what we're up against. So,
Okay, so we have a motion for the survey, a second for a survey, but not real good direction yet.
well, that's what I mean, so what is
Yeah,
the
we'd have to-
question?
Well, yeah, good.
What would you rephrase?
I would like to have a conversation with whomever to identify, to kind of write the question in a way that reflects the conversation here.
Okay, so on the motion, could I make an amendment that Ms. Crowley gets together with Dr. Crowley and get this written tomorrow and get it out to parents and staff, even if you want to include the staff to make sure that they're included in this, and we get this out ASAP, and it has to be back by Friday noontime.
Sure.
That's the amendment on that motion.
For no reason, I think.
Sort of,
Dr. Wells.
from what I understand, would it be better to say whether they, because really the question is whether you want to lose Good Friday or not.
Right.
Because if we don't do Good Friday and we have to use other days, then it's going to be during April vacation.
Right.
And that way it leaves it open-ended so that if you need more days,
So you just want to make it just April vacation?
I'm hearing you.
Yeah.
But let's vote on my motion
Yep.
Okay.
to see if we'll,
Okay.
what's the word?
You'll come up with a
Direct
language.
Right, yeah.
administration to send the survey.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Moran.
Thank you, Chair. Just, I respect everybody's opinion. Again, superintendent's getting this firsthand right now tonight, March 1st. We have a meeting on March 14th. We've got a day to make up because of snow day this week. We don't know what the rest of the month of March is going to bring us. Parents, teachers, staff will be concerned, obviously, moving into March, April vacation. All those dates have always been a ball, toss the ball in the air, which one's going to come out. So I'm fine waiting till the 14th. And again, we get this, we got some people counting the days that don't seem correct. We've got, are you asking the parents in the next 3 days what they want to do and which day is it going to be and all that? I'm fine sitting tight till the next meeting on the 14th. And, we may have 4 days to make up by that after a big, blizzard perhaps. We don't even know that. So I think we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here tonight. And again, to Mr. Kissel's point, we did have this dilemma before. There was dates and times and counting numbers, and right now, we have this calendar in front of us. We have April vacation in there, we have Good Friday being off, we have Memorial Day being off in May. And we have Juneteenth and a half a day, according to this, a half day elementary, June 1. But again, all this mixing in stuff, I think needs another look at it from the administration, but, and therefore, I'm really not in favor of pushing this down the superintendent and coming up with a question or a survey in 48 hours. It's not fair to the administration. That's just my opinion, so, thank you.
Mr. Listen.
I hear that point. One thing that I would say is, if we miss additional days, we're not going to have a choice
Right.
in terms of where we make them up. But this is the only moment where we do really have, and where we can present to the public a choice. So I feel like we put this survey out now. If we have to, if there are additional snow days down the line,
Yeah, it's a
then that
moot
is
point.
what it is,
Yeah,
right?
moot
But we may as well get a survey in front of people as soon as possible, hoping and wishing that we only have the one. And then if we have additional, then it is what it is.
All set, Andrew?
Yeah.
And I just want to state that right now, Woburn Public School students are attending school 179 days this year, so this needs to be addressed. We need to protect the 180 school year, so we need to act on this tonight. I don't think we should wait.
So just for oh, sorry, one more.
I
Ms.
just,
Cormier.
I don't think there's harm in sending out a survey. I think that, I understand what Mr. Mulrennan is saying, but just getting the feel and getting the word out there that this may be an option and what works for people doesn't set anything in stone. So I think getting that out sooner rather than later is better. So I support this motion.
Okay. Just for clarification, there was a comment made that the calendar may not be right. Courtney, are you doing your count? Because I know this happened before, and we
Right,
thought it was
no.
on this day, and then we had to tell people
I-
it was another day.
I would like to make sure that we do a solid recount again. I think there's just a question on 29 and 30. I just think we need to just take a minute to check it.
Yeah.
I think we're getting a little messed up counting by taking off days and recounting. And so,
So do you want a moment to do that
we
before
don't need it now.
No.
We don't need it right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm
So-
just confirming that, like, there needs to be a recount before we confirm the day. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a motion?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, we can amend the motion to say that if the
Yes.
calendar is,
Yes.
if it turns out that right now we are up to the
That
29th,
would be helpful.
then we should send out a survey. If it turns out we are currently ending on the 28th, then,
It's the other
or
way.
It's either
or the other way
29 or
around,
30.
then we know what the answer is.
Right.
So,
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, we have a motion for a survey with a little more direction. We have a second on that survey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
6-1.
Motion
Yeah.
no, I was just going to say you're all in favor. But
Yeah.
All right, so 6-1, it passes.
Okay.
So we will do a survey. You will get together with, Courtney will do an exact count.
Just want to do a count that's not live.
Yeah, I got you, I got you.
And again, this is,
Thank
you
you,
know,
Mr.
just
Chair.
emphasizing, Mr. Chairman, this is advisory in nature. We're asking the
Right.
public
Right.
for parents for their input, and no decisions have been made. So that can be made clear in the survey, just so people aren't thinking.
I'm going to ask my son, and he can write another letter. What's the best day?
There you go.
All right, so second up on the reports and presentations is the fiscal year '24 overview. So, you wanna-
Sure, thank you. So we're obviously now beginning in earnest our budget for FY '24, and tonight wanted to kind of lay the groundwork for the process, but I wanted to start by reminding the committee and the public that what we're trying to do is align our asks in the budget to our strategic plan. And so I started with the slide of the strategic plan adopted by the school committee, I believe, in October. And so we asked all of our principals and department heads to, when they made their requests into the budget process, to align to the strategic plan. And you'll see to some extent tonight what that sounds like or feels like. There are 3 initiatives, as the committee knows, really that drive the plan. The first initiative, I'm going to read it because it's hard to read. Incorporate routine collaboration time into the day to promote horizontal and vertical planning, instructional practices, and data analysis, and establish consistency with the application of deeper learning and effective instructional practices. And so, in a nutshell, the budget here, the requests that have been made are on the right-hand column there, curriculum updates, K-12. And so, as an example, STEM closets at the elementary school to replenish some of the STEM closets so that the students and teachers have what they need in real time. We need to update our textbooks more at the secondary level, but throughout the district. And the maintain, one of the things that we I'm skipping ahead. The elementary classrooms, At the beginning of this year, and this actually goes to Ms. Hurley's comment, so I'm going to digress slightly. So Woburn, the city of Woburn is changing in real time, and I want to acknowledge that. We passed the budget in FY23, and we do this around this time of year, and things look radically different when we open schools in September. And so one of the things that we keep an eye on specifically is class size and at the elementary level especially. Since the beginning of FY23, so beginning July 1, the Woburn Public Schools, we've increased student-facing positions. We've added 17 new positions, student-facing, since we passed last year's budget. And so at the elementary level, what that means is 4 classrooms were added over the summer because people keep moving to Woburn, and we want to make sure that we're providing class size. Sorry, that's my dad calling me.
Do you want to take it?
No, I'm fine. But the the 4 elementary classrooms that were added need to stay. We're not going to eliminate any elementary classrooms. In fact, we need to add an elementary classroom at the Goodyear to meet the needs of the students there. So, this is something that the budget process is fluid, and it's different than I believe it was, just even a few years ago. The needs are different. And so, like I said, we've added 4 elementary teachers this year. We need to maintain them and buy the equipment, materials, et cetera, to support the students. They're here. And the other positions added after the budget cycle, there were 13 positions that were advocated for as it relates to special education. There were, I believe, 5 teaching positions that were added into the FY23 budget and 8 paraprofessional positions. So again, things happen every day. We have an incredibly dynamic city. Since July 1st of last year, I believe we've had 71 special ed students, special education students enroll in the Woburn Public Schools. And we've had 25 of those students are severe special needs, so they require a more intensive support. And so I'm going to go through this and align with the strategic plan. I just want to be clear that we are definitely in the time where things, whether it's COVID related or not, or building development in the city, we have to be cognizant of the demographics that are here and the needs of the students. And so I just wanted to kind of frame a lot of what I was going to talk about in that context. So one of the, and the people spoke earlier about at the elementary level, the specials. We now have 4th graders doing instrumentals. That's new. So the number of students that, it used to just be 5th grade, the number of students that were doing instrumentals has gone up from 80 to over 120, which is great. So we're building, a robust pipeline, and there is clearly, I think it was Ms. Hurley alluded to math and music, and so we acknowledge that, and so that you'll see in the budget as an increase to allow for that instrumental time for our students. So the next area of initiative is to build up our tiered systems of support that are data-informed, comprehensive, and culturally and linguistically supportive. And again, this really is trying to meet the needs of all students in the Woburn Public Schools. The increasing of Tier 2 supports, really what we're trying to do here is add intervention to elementary, but also to middle school. We kind of, I think we've done a nice job of supporting our elementary students. and then they get to the middle school and even the high school, and we kind of pull away some of those supports. So the budget right now is adding in some tier 2 supports at the middle school specifically, pardon me, to support our students. The FACE, that's the Family and Community Engagement position. We have 2 people right now, one Spanish-speaking, one Portuguese-speaking. Both are part-time, both could be full-time. The needs of our families in the city has also increased. So the ask is to increase that department by a part-time position. The multilingual population, we've said this repeatedly, is up over 100% over the past 5 years. So the students that don't speak English as a first language are coming to Woburn, and we need to make sure that we're meeting their needs as well. And the special ed programs I alluded to earlier, and I think I have my 71 students since July 1 have moved into the city, and 25 of those students are severe special needs that require a one-to-one type support, or in some situations, they're not even they're moving to Woburn, but not coming to the Woburn Public Schools because their needs are so severe that they have to be placed out of district. And so that's a phenomenon that we are contending with, and our related service providers are tied to that as well. And so, again, trying to make sure that all kids get everything that they need to be successful in the Woburn Public Schools through building up a lot of the tiered systems of support. Lastly, it's not here, I just remembered, one of the things in the budget, because it was asked for, is a Parent Information Center. PIC is the acronym, but a place for parents when they move to Woburn that they can go to and learn not just about the Woburn Public Schools, but about the city of Woburn and the resources that are available to them, whether it's the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, the library, et cetera. And so there's a lot here for parents, and we want to try to be supportive of them as they navigate into a new living environment. So the PIC is in the FY24 budget currently. The last initiative that I'll speak to reads build systems and structures to support deeper learning and effective instructional practices, and really focusing on resource allocation, staffing, and scheduling. In the budget right now, one of the areas that we talked about in the process of creating the strategic plan was an increase of extracurricular activities at the middle school level. Again, I think we do a good job of providing, with our partners, community partners, especially at the elementary schools, after-school options for families. I think we do a very good job at the high school. They have a club or an activity or an athletic or a drum. I mean, there's something really, I would say, for everybody there. But the gap that we kind of reflected on in the process of writing the plan is the middle school, and we want to expand middle school extracurricular activities. And to be clear, and speaking with the middle school principals and feedback, they're not necessarily seeking athletics as the answer there. They are offering things this year. I know that the Kennedy, actually just this week, I believe, the chess club is going to start meeting, and they're running it in 6-week sessions. So to try to help kids stay after school, feel supported, and that ask is in the budget. The facilities personnel, Mr. Dunkley has come to the school committee multiple times. Our custodian and facilities team is great. Actually want to say thank you to them. They worked yesterday to get us ready for today. There's an ask for additional facilities personnel, specifically around maintenance. We have older buildings that require upkeep, and I believe Mr. Dunkley's asked for a couple positions in the facilities department. And last bullet point is the instructional technology personnel. Ms. Judkins' department, she came, I'm going to do a recap. COVID changed the number of devices that were in the Woburn Public Schools, but the staffing levels really haven't changed. And I think her staff does a great job of supporting, to the extent that they can, all of the teachers' needs. Over vacation week, new projectors were installed at both the Joyce and the Kennedy, but she's in need of another person, and more specifically, in her mind's eye, there's an area of cybersecurity that she's cognizant of, and so that would free up some of the support people to be more able to go out into buildings. And so her ask is for, I believe it's a one person ask for the IT personnel. And so again, these are the asks, and we required people to try to align their asks to where they saw it on the strategic plan. And so I just wanted to start there. Mr. Alcanada is going to drill in a little bit more to the process. So I'll keep going.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Crowley. And you can go to the next slide, please. I always think it's important to talk about a timeline in the budget process, just so that you understand where we are and where we need to go. My staff and I are now moving into the 5th month of budget construction or budget preparation. We have talked about how we sent budget packets to principals and the leadership staff in November. That was returned to the business office in December, where we began to construct the budget. We have held meetings the last 2 months with the principals and leadership staff in January and February, and of course that will continue in this new month of March. We have finalized this evening 6 meetings for the Finance Subcommittee to meet over the next 3 or 4 weeks to begin prioritizing spending decisions. So this will be a critical month there. And as we have always done, and Dr. Wells had indicated last week or last meeting, although it's a finance subcommittee, we'll make sure that the entire school committee is aware of those meetings so that you can certainly attend those meetings. And the expectation is that we'll continue to provide updates to the school committee over the next couple of months, with April 26th, which I hope that will be the final passage of the budget if this school committee is ready. So as we take the lid off the budget, there are some things that you do need to, there are some considerations, both contractual and economic. The one thing that is important is your FY23 budget was approved for a 2% salary increase across the board. Mm-hmm. Of course, we were in negotiations with various collective bargaining units at that time, and so just about 10 or 11 months ago, we passed the budget in good faith bargaining and good faith budgeting at 2%. It has turned out that the increase, certainly for the teacher collective bargaining agreement, is 3.5% in FY23. So what my staff and I had to do is go back, not change the budget for FY23 because we can't, that is an approved document, but we had to go in and rebuild FY24 based on a 3.5% increase for FY23, and then of course a 3.5% increase for the teachers in FY24. That does skew your percentage numbers when you compare. Of course, as you know, that there's elimination of 2 teacher steps in FY24, and the paraprofessionals will have a 3.75% increase in FY24. So you'll see as we get into it that has driven up the number. It has skewed it upward. The other matter that we've heard about for the past year is inflation. The consumer price index has increased depending on when you take a look at it. It's been between 6% and 9%. It's in the high single digits. And even when you apply the core CPI, which excludes food and energy prices, that is still volatile. We don't have food expenses necessarily, but we certainly buy a lot of energy. And that is going to be one of the drivers in the budget that is increasing some of the costs. So we all feel it at home with groceries and other things, but Woburn Public Schools is a $75 million company that purchases a lot of goods and services, and so it impacts us as well. The other matter, there are several other matters, but one of the main drivers is special education costs, which, of course, this school committee and various subcommittees have been grappling with for some time. The out-of-district tuition cost, many of you may be familiar with this, for private school placements is going to increase by 14% in FY24, and collaborative tuition costs are expected to also increase a more moderate 4%. Those costs increase, plus the additional students now being placed outside the district, have pushed the out-of-district costs up by $3 million, and that accounts for a 30% increase in the SPED budget as we sit today. Added to that is an 11%, or about a $300,000 increase in SPED transportation. So that is a driver. We've talked, and Dr. Crowley has alluded just a few moments ago, to the staff increases in SPED mid-year. It may not actually be mid-year. It was, toward the early part of the year. But what is happening now is we were able to afford that in FY23. Certainly we will afford it in FY24. But as I said, when you take the lid off this budget, you're now going to see those staff reflected or counted for in a budget for the first time. And so that's going to increase percentages and costs as well. And just some other considerations. These are not all of the considerations, but some of the major is, I alluded to this just a little bit ago, energy costs have increased exponentially this year. We are putting in for a doubling of homeless transportation costs, and we do have a contractual obligation to increase the teacher tuition reimbursement by 100% over the previous year, so that will count. We have put in for the budget for your review some facility staffing requests. Dr. Crowley indicated that the facilities and maintenance staff do a tremendous job, and they absolutely do. We have 4 maintenance individuals who are all licensed, and with HVAC, electrical, contractor licenses. We need maintenance personnel who aren't necessarily licensed but can provide some of the preventive maintenance to our equipment. That is very, very important to maintain that because delayed maintenance can be costly, and it can shorten an asset's life if you're not maintaining it. In addition to that, it absolutely could lead to asset failure, or if we're not maintaining our systems, certainly it can cause unscheduled downtime, and that's where it certainly gets expensive. So you'll see that as well. And finally is the capital improvement investment to information technology, infrastructure, and facilities. We have all recognized the tremendous job that IT has done. They have increased the number of devices all across the district, and we had to build that infrastructure. Ms. Judkins and her team did a tremendous job in building the infrastructure as we went along. Now that hopefully we're moving further away from COVID, it is very important to not only maintain, preserve, but expand that infrastructure for the future needs in this decade and beyond. And once again, facilities, we have 10 properties that we need to take care of. And the plumbing, electrical, and mechanical systems are all matters that we need to address, as well as building envelope and matters as well. And part of that blueprint, not necessarily this budget related, but part of that blueprint will be through our feasibility study to give us a roadmap. But again, there are some facility capital improvements that we need to consider. And it's not always buildings, it's also the equipment. That can be our fleet of vehicles that sand and plow and allow us to do some repairs to grounds and property. So that's very, very important. So these are some of the things that we have grappled with over the past few months, and certainly priorities that the Finance Committee and this full school committee will grapple going forward to produce a solid spending document for our students, families, and this community.
And next steps for us, we're scheduled to have a leadership team meeting yesterday. It got pushed till tomorrow. And so the intent with the team tomorrow is to look at all the asks one final time from every department and principal, et cetera, to make sure that the asks are reflected in the budget. And what then our plan is to send those asks to the committee and make sure that and send a draft budget to the committee. So you'll see the asks in the budget as it relates to the first stab, if you will, of a budget. And so the committee can expect to get something from us by the end of this week. So you'll have a draft budget to look at. As we've done in the past few years, and Mr. Alcanada alluded to it, we've scheduled the finance subcommittee meetings to meet to then start diving into the asks. What you'll get from us by Friday are not priorities. It's just a list of all the asks. And in fairness to the people that came, the elementary physical education are on that list. And so just want people to know that. So again, we will work with the subcommittee in this process to get to a point where we'll start prioritizing with you. And I would ask the committee if there's something that is important or a priority to you that's not there, please let us know. That's part of the, like tomorrow, we've done this a couple times and we've say, oh geez, we forgot to put this person in the budget. And so, again, it's a work in progress. And so the step with the subcommittees then aligning the priorities. And so recognizing obviously that I can tell you that there's dozens and dozens of positions that are in the budget right now that are being asked for. And so what are the priorities that the Woburn Public Schools wants to push forward? And that really should be a collaborative process with the and communicated with the stakeholders throughout. And we'll get there. We've done it for the past couple of years. I feel like, and Mr. Alcanada alluded to it, there's a reality of inflation. Expenses are higher than they've ever been before. We added those 17 positions into the budget already. So the percent that you're going to see is at this point north of 10%, and we know that. So we're going to need to then work to figure out how to manage that in a way that's reflective of all of the kids that we want to take care of every day. And so I guess open to any questions that the committee has at this point.
Dr. Wells?
Yeah, a couple of things. Give the dates for the meeting. So it's March 7th, March 8th, March 15th, March 20th, March 22nd, and March 27th, and we'll be meeting from 4 to 6 here. And we'll send that out to the full meeting, but I just wanted people to know. The other thing is, could we have, for the initial thing, current class sizing?
Sure.
And then also spaces available in the schools?
Yes.
That'd be good. And could we definitely have it as an Excel document and not a Google Doc?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, we can convert that to Excel.
Thank you.
Mr. Lipson.
Just a couple of quick questions on funding sources. Talked about some of the increases in out-of-district tuition costs and transportation costs. Are we expecting, or is there a possibility of any state relief or state aid that might cover some of those costs?
You want to go?
Yes, circuit breaker
Yeah.
is the reimbursement mechanism, and I am expecting that it will be a healthy reimbursement rate
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
It will cover tuitions. I mean, hopefully it will cover roughly 70 to 75%. And this year, I am expecting that the reimbursement rate for transportation will be higher than it has been in the past.
Good, okay. And sort of on that note generally, we're going to be presenting sort of a breakdown of some of our costs. I think it might be useful for the public. I know the governor announced a draft budget quite recently. For the public to be able to see sort of a breakdown of our revenue as well, where are the sources of the funding that we are going to be using in the schools, possibly comparatively over the last few years, just to sort of get a sense of some of our trends. And I know COVID sort of blew some of that up to a degree, but it might be useful, even if it's broad buckets, local, state, federal, grant money, just to sort of get a sense of where our money is coming in from. Sure. As we look at where it's going to go. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Mr. Moran.
Thank you. Again, I'll start my annual plea here tonight that we need everyone's support in these matters. Obviously, Dr. Wells and the Finance Committee will be meeting with the administration to get things in line and in order, but we're just, people sitting here hoping for the best. At the end of the day, we still have to present this to the City Council and hopefully work alongside the mayor. So annually, I ask people to please reach out, contact their aldermen, both aldermen at large, as well as the mayor's office, because as things come before us, we have to make those decisions based on what we have for revenue again, to keep these things in perspective and put programs in place for our students and our families. So I understand it's only March 1, and I think Dr. Wells said, Bob said April, the end of April, we're going to try to get a city budget presentation at City Council and all that. But again, we need everyone's support. We know how strong this community can be, and especially when it comes to things like programs and activities for our students and things. Again, if I could, Bob, Mr. Lipson touched upon it a little bit. Some of these things are out of our control. I don't know if you want to hit upon any of those tonight or perhaps at a later date, but I know as someone that's sat here a long time, I've learned that, what about that? And the answer is we have no control over those things. So I think people have to realize that as well. I know 1 year the transportation, I know Ms. Ryan talked about it briefly, but all of a sudden the transportation company for special ed went up. You can't deny the students and families transportation, so you have to pay those bills. And these are things that out of our realm, out of our control. But again, we still need the rest of the money to run our programs and activities for our students. So again, tonight, for those that are at home watching on TV, those in the audience, again, we appreciate your comments and your concerns. We're working for the students, but you gotta contact your alderman, the alderman at large, as well as the mayor's office, as soon as possible, that this budget needs to get passed and the programs need to be held intact. So anything you people can do, we appreciate all your help again. Thank you.
Mr. Crowley.
I'm sorry,
That's all right.
keep recurring thought in my head. One concern I had when I heard the middle school's school improvement plans was the social emotional well-being of the middle school programs, and so I'm really interested to see how the principals are tying the extracurriculars into sort of this promoting the well-being of students in those buildings. It's just kind of an interesting, I'd like to see, I'm excited to see more of that, because I know that was something we heard as a recurring theme during school improvement. So I really appreciate you adding that in as a priority. Well, not as a priority, as a thing. That's not yet a priority. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the FY24 overview?
Well,
Ms. Chisholm?
one of the things it's been talked about prior, the parent center that we're going to have. Is there any way that can be held or more at the city level? And that they could cover the cost of that so that we can do education and they can, because I'm sure a lot of it's going to be housing and where they get food and where they get transportation and, and education would be a part of it. But if we could just put something to the city hall budget, it would be helpful to us.
Yeah, done.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a great idea and I think it would be helpful. And when more would they want to be at city hall instead of having to go to a school where they have to sign in and be checked out, and so it would be a lot easier for them, and they're open later in the day, and I just think that's a wonderful idea that Scott should take on.
So this is not, to that point, this is not the centralized kindergarten registration?
No,
No, but I'm asking Courtney as well.
I think it would function in that capacity as well.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, that's why I thought it might have been.
Yeah. They can work alongside.
Fast it out.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can work on that. All right, any other questions on the FY24 overview? Or comments or anything? Who's got the...
The only other question, I know you mentioned there's going to be a request for maintenance personnel. I know we've done budgets in the past where we've put people in, but we never able to fill the position. And, it's a nice try, but it's kind of a waste of a slot of money. So, I'd really like justification that we really think we're putting in a salary that we're going to be able to fill. Otherwise, it's just money put in the budget that doesn't get spent on what we wanted and goes somewhere else.
So you want them to hire somebody for $120,000 that electrician's going to get,
or
and
we
we're
have
not
to-
going to budget for 60.
Or we have to either decide we're going to hire have the salary so we can get somebody, or don't bother putting it in. Waste everybody's time. Okay.
Gotcha. All right, any other questions, comments?
But everyone is invited to those meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a public meeting. If anybody wants to attend, is free to do so.
Cool. All right, moving on to reports. So we have the Finance Subcommittee.
Finance Subcommittee met this evening. Present were myself, Ms. Chisholm, Mr. Lipset, and the administration team, along with David Kenny. We reviewed the list of bills, found the list of bills to be in order, and I make a motion that we approve the list of bills.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Next up, we looked at the balance of account. We found the balance of account to be in order, and I'll make a motion to approve the balance of account.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So we talked, one thing was administratively, how we're looking at the balance of accounts, and we're going to get a new sheet, which will be much easier to use. Right now, we get these printouts from the city treasurer's office, and kind of go through, and you can see what percent. But what Patty's been able to do, which I think will be very useful, is to go from overexpended to being underexpended, and you can kind of look quickly and see where we're having problems in terms of enough funding, whereas other places where we're not spending money, and looking at that. Because as part of the budget process, we want to make sure that the money we're obligating is going to those areas, and if it's not, then we should figure out why we even have that allowed. But this will be very useful. Other things we talked about, the superintendent indicated through a grant that they're going to be offering physicals for students in Burlington. This is part of a grant that multi-year, I think this is the second year?
Second year, it's
Yeah.
a multi-year grant.
And if you want to talk a little bit about it that way.
Sure. So in partnership with the Burlington Public Schools, the goal is to get students, when they enroll into school, as quick as possible. And one of the things that we discovered in COVID time was access to physicals and immunizations too. And so we have this partnership. Senator Friedman allocated money to both of the city of Woburn and the town of Burlington. I work closely with Dr. Conti in Burlington. The physicals, Dr. Altman, who's a Woburn resident, is kind enough to facilitate the physical night, we call it, And so the next physical night is March 6th at 6:30 at the Simons Middle School in Burlington. And I brought it up at Finance also because we hired a nurse who, on an hourly basis, to do immunizations too. We have students, again, representing the diversity here in the city that need, to come to school as soon as possible, but they need help with the medical component so that they can come to school. And so that next night is March 6th at 6:30, Simons Middle School.
Is it coming to Woburn at all?
No,
No.
it's housed there. They have, it's just right over the
Yeah.
line. They have the space to they turn. I mean, if you feel free to comment. They have this. They make it into a clinic almost overnight, and so we did purchase a refrigerator that holds a certain temperature so that if you have the vaccines, you can maintain them. There was a multi-$1,000 purchase through this grant, and that's housed at the middle school there. And so it's not something that's portable to move from one place to another.
Another question I have real quick. Does anyone else got questions? Or?
I was going to add a clarification.
Oh, okay, clarification.
Yeah, I think we mentioned in finance that the Burlington school system identified the nurse, like it was another district. It wasn't school nurses.
No, the nurse that we hired is an hourly employee. So Dr. Conti and I met with her. She's agreed to come and work with our students.
Okay. And the benefit of this, obviously, is to help get students into the classroom that might have just come to the city from wherever and need, physicals and all the things that are required to get in the classroom. So that's the real benefit for us. So it's a great partnership.
Sorry.
And just to clarify on that point, I mean, I think it's worth underlining how difficult it was for that to happen before this, that students were having to go really far afield. It was taking a very long time. So the ability to do this is really, really a help to families, a help to the district.
Yeah, and obviously COVID made it even more complicated to access health, and so a lot of, we've learned a lot about Mass Health Plus, and what different places take and don't take, and we're just trying to take care of kids and get them into class. So that's the goal here. And again, I think I said it, but thank you to Dr. Altman and his team, because he brings, it's a partnership with Tufts medical students who come and do some of the work. So that's operationally what it looks like.
Excellent. I'm just throwing out there as an idea or a question, because I don't know about the grant as much. Is there anything in the grant, because we're asking the Woburn people to travel, I know it's just over the line, but typically the people that are probably looking to be part of this may not have the transportation. Is that, like a
we've
waivers or things for taxis?
We have mechanisms in place. So our Nellie, who one of our family community engagement person, really coordinates that. So transportation should not be an obstacle.
Good. Sounds great.
And we should make sure we publicize it. That's one of the reasons why we're bringing it out today, but also getting on our website and things like that. Okay. The other thing that the administration's requesting is an auditorium event manager. This would be a stipend $6,000 position, and what they're looking for is having somebody to be at events to make sure that they know when somebody comes to use the auditorium, the equipment's there, they know how to turn it on, turn it off, take care of things, answer questions and so forth. Because the administration, is holding a lot of events, but also outsiders are holding events, and sometimes you go to those events and it's not clear, everybody knows where, and they're scrambling at the last minute. So this is really to help the community, help the school department, and we hope to recoup some of the funds from people that pay to use the auditorium. So I'll make a motion that we agree to create this $6,000 stipend position, and then have the administration check back in a year and see how it's working out.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, actually, on the motion, any questions or anything? Because actually, I that's why I hesitated, I was going to ask. I think Superintendent and myself had talked, so this is a one-person position.
It's
Yeah,
one
this is-
position.
Yeah,
It's one
so
position.
It's one position.
predicated on, based on our conversation.
Okay.
We kind of felt like it might be better suited to have one person.
Okay.
And also students
Right.
get trained.
Yep.
Okay.
So that there's,
So the students wouldn't be part of that stipend, they'd be like a volunteer
or
internship
or
or
they-
something?
they probably get paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had a motion, I had second, all in favor, I think we said yes already. Any opposed? You good?
The other topic we discussed was homeless transportation. The administration was kind enough to provide, from 2013 to 2022. We varied in number of students from 18 to 50, and the expenses varied from $51,000 to $384,000. So you can see, this is a budget item that's hard to predict a priori what it's going to be, and so we just wanted to alert the committee. We picked it up when we were looking at the bills and so forth, and seeing how, and it's just one of these items that, could be 51,000 or it could be 308, and we just want to make people clear, when we're budgeting, these are the kind of things that it's hard to budget for. And again, the object is, as always, is to make sure the students that we're responsible for get to school and get an education. What we do. I've already told you about the dates. We have different different budget categories, and we'll release that to the committee, but that may be subject to change, but the meetings will be those days. So everybody's welcome.
Okay.
All right, and that's it.
Any questions for finance? Anybody? All right, moving on, Communication Policy Subcommittee.
We have not met.
All right, Curriculum and Data Trends Subcommittee.
We have a meeting scheduled for Monday at 4 p.m.
Personnel Subcommittee.
We met on February 17th at 8:30 here at the Joyce Middle School. In attendance was Superintendent Dr. Matt Crowley, Assistant Superintendent Robert Alcanada, and Courtney Young, HR Director Marissa and Patty McKinnon, Assistant Business Manager, and school committee members Colleen Cormier and myself. The topics were the open positions and the new positions that will be added to our budget. Positions that had already been posted is the Director of Student Services, the WMHS Principal, and the Assistant Superintendent of Finance. And we said that we'd be having school committee reps on those search committees, and this is all past tense because we've already figured that out. And the following positions that will be advertised soon, if not already, was the nurse leader, Mary Heater, is retiring, a payroll supervisor for the retirement of Karen Linehan, and new positions that are needed for the good year for special ed. The program has now 72 students and 8 in the queue. One position was needed ASAP. I don't know if that's already been advertised.
It's
or not.
posted.
It's posted, okay. And we spoke for the need for additional para and substitutes, and this is a concern in many districts. And with the increase in pay, with the new contract, hoping we can attract more people, and our meeting adjourned at 9 a.m.
Excellent. Any questions for personnel?
We run a tight ship.
All right, Resources and Capital Planning Subcommittee.
We have not met, but we're waiting with bated breath.
Wow.
Feasibility study.
All right, Student Services and Achievement Subcommittee.
We have not met, Mr. Chairman, although at this moment I'd like to give a shout out to Ms. Courtney Young as well as Maureen Ryan for a Safe Schools program they had up at Woburn Memorial High School, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago or so, ladies. If you wanted to comment on that, and we will try to set up a date for a future meeting, but I don't know who arranged that, who invited the people, the speakers that came, but I know it was well attended, and again, lots of prompts and lots of accolades to the Woburn staff. So if you wanted to comment tonight.
Sure. We have a partnership with Safe Schools, and we've been working with them for about 2 years now. Kendra Stinson, the wellness coordinator, really is the main connection with that, although Safe Schools also works closely with Gretchen Paula Ramos at the high school. And so we've been fortunate to have them work with all of our staff, and they were able to come and also work with students and families. I think it was the Thursday before vacation.
Thank you very much.
They're assistant superintendents, so.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for, reports. We have correspondences, I do have some emails that I'll just generalize on. They are always kept on file, by the way, for anyone that does send it in, we do have it on record. One, if anyone else has any correspondence?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let him go first.
You know, we traditionally have always announced passing of former school employees and so forth. And I was thinking about, you know, the way we do it is sort of, you know, haphazard in the sense that we find about it. So I just wanted to let people know if they have family members who worked in the school system and they would like a moment of silence for them, feel free to email us. You know, that way we can catch people that maybe we're missing that aren't in the paper, maybe passed away out of town and so forth. Because I think it's a, you know, I've talked to people and I think they really appreciate that. And, you know, we as school committee and I know the administration appreciate all the people that have worked for the Woburn school system over the years. A lot of them have given a lot of time and effort. And so I think it's a nice thing that we do. And so we just want to expand it as much as possible.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wells. Anyone else with correspondence?
Only on the correspondence, and no emails were sent to a couple of us personally. And I just want to make sure that people realize that we're not answering it, but they go to you.
Yes.
And that you're going to be responding it, because I just feel really badly when someone sends one personally and I can't respond.
So the few I received, one was from from Carol Downing, who I know from the Kennedy Middle School, of course, and I guess she also worked at the Joyce, I had heard. She's a grandmother of 2 girls attending 1st and 3rd grades in the public schools. Her concern was about, similar to what was talked about tonight, that larger classes. No school indicated that I could see here. So also about the physical education, which has been talked about, that it is in the budget at this point. Hopefully we'll be able to keep that. So that was her comment. That will be on file. Rachel Kuber, is she still here?
Yeah.
All right, so she did send one as well. Her comment was that there's been a historical amount of money from Chapter 70 for $905,000. $905,000. And she would follow up with the mayor, but her concern was that we should obviously try to capture as much of that as we can, and there is a process to that with the mayor's office and so on. So she will sound like she would follow up with that. We appreciate that. And Andrew Regan, or Reagan, I'm not sure of how it's pronounced, had similar concerns on Chapter 70. Just that it is coming in, and we should try our best to capture as much of that as possible. And again, we work on that as a process. So I appreciate that. Anyone else that sent any emails to other folks, like I said, forward them to me at any point. And they are on file. So that is my correspondence. Anyone else with correspondences? All right, any future agenda items? We're working on those snapshots.
Very easily, when I was chair, you could have the snapshots, but for some reason, I
I'm
guess.
just waiting until I'm told.
I know.
Just waiting until I'm told. I'll be
Maybe
there.
on the very next one, for sure. No matter what we do, we'll put
Everyone
in
will
a
be waiting on
snapshot.
bated breath, I'm sure.
Highest rated portion of the.
Oh, yeah.
If you could, Mr. Chairman, extend an invite to Mr. Harden here at the Joyce for the performance of Willy Wonka, as well as Coach Fletcher, and get an update on the Woburn Memorial High School track program, if you would. Perhaps the next meeting or when they're available.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I see the superintendent making those notes as we speak. All right, any other future agenda items? Just
Motion to
budget.
adjourn.
Second.
Budget. So we have a motion to adjourn, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I hope not. Good, thank you very much.